Fresh out the box.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the Podcast, the number one podcast in America, if you don't count any of the other podcasts. I am Johananon.
It's me, Casualty, CDG, co-host of Fresh Out the Podcast and Fresh Out the Box. That's where Jahan and I play tabletop role-playing games where it's basically like improv comedy and improv horror and improv stupid all rolled into one.
I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and it is a momentous occasion. Just people are celebrating, they're partying in the streets, because it is officially the launch of Max, formerly known as HBO Max, now just known as Max.
I have a complaint.
Yay.
I have a complaint about this. I got home today from work and tried to go watch Barry, and I launch HBO Max and it says, no, you need to download a new app. And I was like, are you kidding me? What do you mean a new app? I thought you were just changing your name. Like, when you change a file name, can't you just right-click it and change the name? Why is there a new app? What is happening here? Now, I will give them a little credit. It was very fast and easy to set up the app. It remembered all my information and signed me right in, for better or worse. But it was quick. It was streamlined. I was just still annoyed that they're... Why? What? Why? What?
Yeah, I had a similar experience. Everything that I had read leading up to this was that it was going to just automatically update your HBO Max app to be Max, and then you might have to re-log in or something, but I also had the same issue where on my Apple TV, I went to open HBO Max just because I was like, oh, maybe it'll prompt an update or something if I click on it. And it did exactly what you said. It said, you have to download the new app, click here to do it. And so I did so, and then had to delete the HBO Max app on my own, which kind of seems like, I'm not complaining like this was a lot of work, right? Like, I'm sitting on my couch doing it with a remote.
Yeah, this is a first world problem for sure, but go on, I'm with you.
But the whole thing is, if you're transitioning your app, essentially just doing a rebrand, don't you want that to be as easy on your customer base as possible so that they don't really have to do anything? It just, the app transitions and magically you're there and using the new app. I don't know.
So at least, right, so you launch it and it prompted instead, we'll send you there. So it sends you there and then it logs you in. So at least if you're going to make it a pain in the ass, as far as being a pain in the ass goes, that's pretty flawless. They could have just said nothing and had it not work, and then we have to go search for it and figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah, I did see on the interwebs some people were having trouble logging in or whatever. Mine was seamless. Like you said, I logged in and it kept all my profiles that I had, like my family's profiles. I went in, my watch list and everything was still intact as I left it. It just has kind of a new blue hue, and the tabs are different, is what I know. I don't know how much you played around with it, Gary. Jahan, have you looked at it at all yet?
Yeah, I also had the same, just click download and boom, I was in. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, they used to have on HBO Max, like on the side, there was you could go to the different sections and it would say, HBO or Max Originals or Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, DC Universe, whatever. It was all there. And those tabs are gone. Now at the top it has movies, shows, and there's an HBO tab. But then if you scroll down, it has different channels, and it includes the ones I listed, plus now it has TLC and HGTV and Food Network. So that's where you're getting all of that, the Discovery content moving over, which like Magnolia Network, all that stuff. So it's basically you're just getting all of that Discovery Plus content, or most of it, now on here. So it's just consolidated, which... in hindsight, there's a lot of jokes that can be made about the app and the name of it and everything. I've read some stories that, like, apparently the HBO brand is almost too prestige-y, so they wanted to take a step back and just be Max, where you can watch anything, because those that just want to watch, garbage reality TV, don't want to watch the highbrow HBO shows. It all sounds ridiculous to me, but apparently that's one of the reasons why the HBO name was dropped. And HBO is
Dumb
now a
as
tab
shit.
on there. Super dumb. HBO is one of the biggest brands in TV. Like, why
Yeah,
wouldn't you want everything rated HBO?
I missed the class where they told you that brain recognition is bad. I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah,
Or use
that would
Warner
be
Brothers in
like-
the name.
It would be like Mercedes or Lexus being like, man, we just hate that our cars are prestigious brands and we wish that they were available to more people. So let's drop the name Lexus and let's just be us. We'll just make cars for us. And that'll be great and people are going to love it. You spent all this time building your brand. I complained about this last time. HBO is the brand you built. You can't drop the name of the brand you built. You can't drop the McDonald's and just keep the Mick. You need the thing that you did. The thing.
It
like
also comes
IHOP.
across.
Remember IHOB?
Is that the International House of Biscuits?
You guys not remember IHOB? IHOB changed their name to
man, I
IHOB.
did
Oh, wasn't this
forget
like an
that.
April Fool's joke or
No,
something? Wasn't
it wasn't an April Fool's joke. They changed their name to IHOB. They changed the P from changed it from a P to a B. International House of Burgers was what they changed
That's
it to, and then they
Surely
kept that
that was
brand
just a
for a little
promotional
bit.
tactic for their.
It
burgers.
was, because then they were like, they changed back. They're like, we're still the International House of Pancakes, but don't forget, we got burgers. And it's just really stupid. It was a really stupid
Yeah,
branding
that's silly.
thing.
If they were going to change their name to IHOB, the B should have stood for breakfast.
I agree.
Well,
That's what I
they were
thought it
promoting
was when we
burgers.
were first-
You can have a burger for breakfast.
I mean, I know you can, but when you say breakfast, you don't think burger.
Yeah, but we're Americans, so just get us in the door and we'll spend money on a burger with an egg on it.
I mean, yeah, they didn't have to change anything. Yeah.
The Max transition, though, another thing, it almost kind of comes across like they just wanted to get it over with. Like, let's just change the name and be done with it. I mean, obviously they'd promoted it, but as far as content goes, there's nothing really new. Like, the big new thing on there today I saw was the Shazam sequel, which is not a very good movie. So it's not like they're launching with here's a whole bunch of new shows and things. It's just
Yeah, it's funny.
stuff
They're like,
that's been
hey,
around
brand new
everywhere.
app. Here's this huge piece of shit.
Yeah,
Right in your
it's-
face.
Could you imagine launching a console with Shazam, Shazam 2, or whatever the equivalent of that would be?
The
That's
equivalent of
such
that would be a
bomb.
Shazam 2 tie-in game.
Yeah, exactly.
Xbox
So
Series
anyway-
S now launching with Redfall.
Microsoft feeling a lot better about Redfall right now when they're seeing Shazam 2 up there.
So that's Max. I am definitely going to have to get used to it, and I just feel like I still associate Max as being like a name, like a human name, or Max following something else like an HBO Max. I don't know. It's just it's gonna be weird when people are saying it's on Max. It just feels like it's unfinished or something. There should be something else there, but. It's neither here nor there. That's Max officially a thing. I'm sure we will be talking about Max a lot more in the future because a lot of shows that we watch are on.
Drew, if you say
that
Max
service.
one more fucking time,
I'm done.
I swear to God.
WWF. I was able, for years, I didn't think I was going to be able to switch and call it WWE, but I'm okay with it. Maybe,
I didn't
maybe
even
I'll-
watch it. It was hard for me to change, too. I didn't even watch
Maybe I'll
WWF.
come around to Max, I think I'll come around, I guess. And I also think that in a few years, they'll rebrand again. So, don't rush to the muscle memory of calling it Max. I'm not sure how long this will last.
I don't think he's going to get the
HBO
flash
Max?
card. I swear to God, Drew.
It still felt new. HBO Max still felt new. It launched during the pandemic, I think summer of 2020. It hasn't even been around for 3 years before it changed to something else.
Yeah, it was literally just called HBO Go, which is funny because that means they could have been called Go if that program would have worked.
Fun fact,
But it didn't.
go in Farsi means shit. So,
New episode of Ted Lasso's out. I told Zach that it comes out on Tuesdays during our podcast, and I just wanted to let him know that that's right now.
Did you get the notification?
I did.
Nice.
isn't that the last episode?
To move on so that I don't get in trouble. No, it's not the last one. I think there's two more after this one.
Is episode 9 that just came out, and there will be a 10th one. So this is of the final 2.
The
I
penultimate.
think there's 12 episodes this season.
Oh, okay. I read there were 10, but I wouldn't bet my life on that.
To move on, and so that I avoid saying
Like,
a name again that starts with an M and ends with X.
You didn't
I
say
wanted
I
to
couldn't
circle-
say it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep that
Gary can say it.
close to my heart. I'm going to keep the ability.
You know, last week our main discussion was about Zelda and our history of Zelda and the franchise, and Jahan was already, several hours into the new game Tears of the Kingdom, and I discussed some of my apprehension about it and the issues I had with Breath of the Wild, and now I can come back and say that I have put several hours into Tears of the Kingdom now, and that I'm really, really enjoying it.
Hell
Like
yeah.
it hooked me at the beginning. I feel like the story is a lot better in this one, or way more visual, and just the way that the game kind of puts you on a good path, even in the big open world, somehow makes the open world seem way less intimidating to me than it did in Breath of the Wild. And there is a lot more stuff for sure, like you were saying, Jahan. But I feel like I always have something to do. I'm not wandering around aimlessly, and I don't know. It's just I still have some issues with the grindiness of the survival aspects. Like, it does stink when you're in the middle of a dungeon and you're like, all my weapons are almost broken. I barely have any food to eat, and I don't know if I'm gonna live. But for the most part, it hasn't been a problem. And there are times when I'm exploring things and I'm like, am I even having fun? I don't know, but there's just something about the game, the one more thing aspect of it. It's hard to put it down.
It is
when
really
you're
hard
like, let me just go to this one more place, or let me just check out this one cave, or let me do this, and then all of a sudden it's an hour later from when you intended to stop. It's one of those.
Yeah, there's a lot more to do everywhere. It's not really an empty world anymore. It's chock full. The map's twice the size, and then some. And yeah, the story I do actually think is better too. They kind of, because in the first one you kind of know what's up pretty early on. You're like, oh, okay, I gotta do this, and then I can fight Ganon. And then like now, like even after 20 or 30 hours or however many I put in, I'm still not really sure what's going to happen towards the end. Like there's mystery to the story, and so
It's still very. And despite that, because I do think it's great that the story's a little beefed up, it's still very Zelda-y, right? Like, it's, awakening sages and things like that, the kind of stuff that we've all come to know. But I did, I beat my first temple, or, dungeon. I did the Wind Temple, to be specific.
Me too.
And had a great time with it, and just getting there was a trial in itself, which was also fun. And it almost feels like, man, this game's really hard, but then at the same time I did it. So it's a game that I like, games that you feel like you accomplish something, or you feel like you're good at the game when you get from point A to point B.
It's pleasantly challenging. Yeah.
Yes. And I've definitely solved some puzzles in a sense of like, I don't know if that's how I was supposed to do it, but I got from point A to point B, so it doesn't really matter.
And you like the shrines better this time, like I said? I said they were better.
A lot better.
Yeah.
I think the shrines are actually really fun.
Much improved. Yeah, they really figured those things out.
Challenging enough that you have to figure it out, but not challenging enough that I've ever sat stumped at one of them.
Yeah.
So I like that. You keep moving, and it definitely forces you to do some trial and error experimentation.
Well, I'm glad you like it, man.
So I just wanted to comment on that, because I was hoping that I would be able to eat my words about Breath of the Wild going into Tears of the Kingdom, and so far that's the case. It has me hook, line, and sinker. As you said last week, I want to be playing it. I tell myself I'm going to put it down and go do something else, and then I find myself still playing it. It is for sure one of those games, and I'll be putting a lot more hours into it. It stinks that Diablo 4 is coming out just around the corner because that's another game that will be very time consuming, and I feel like I'll have friends playing that I'll want to keep up with, but I just kind of want to play Zelda all the time right now, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, your friend group really plays Diablo. I don't really fuck with that game anymore. That game, I hear that Diablo 4 is the same. Same shit. No changes.
And everything I've heard from those that played the betas there, it's pleasantly surprised is that everybody's really liking it from the community. So, I don't know. We'll see how it reviews and how it is when it launches. But I do have one more thing for our main topics of discussion this week. It is the newest release in theaters that is relevant conversation. And that is the movie Fast X. It's actually Fast X or Fast 10, which is the 11th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise, if you include the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw. And this was a movie. There's definitely a movie.
Would you say it's a masterpiece?
I would not say that it's a masterpiece.
Interesting.
So, Fast X. Okay, first off, it's directed by Louis Leterrier, who directed the Incredible Hulk, the MCU Edward Norton Hulk film. He directed Clash of the Titans and Now You See Me and Transporter 2. So varying degrees of quality there. But it's worth noting he was not the original director of Fast X. It was supposed to be Justin Lin, who has directed several other entries in the franchise, like I believe he did Fast 5, and I think he did Furious, or whatever the sixth one's called. He did 5 and 6, and I think some other ones. And he was supposed to come back to do this one. He did F9, and was coming back to do this one. And then something happened early on in production. Like the movie was in production, and he left the project. It's unclear. This is one of those stories that has still eluded people and there's rumors, right? Like, was it issues with Vin Diesel, like, or was it creative differences, or was it simply a scheduling issue? It's unclear, but regardless, he left, and so Louis Leterrier came in and finished the movie. So that's one thing. The action in Fast movies, regardless of the quality of the story or movie itself, is typically kind of fun. And I did think that there was some fun to be found in the action sequences here, but it definitely fails to up the stakes from past movies, which kind of makes sense, right? F9, they go to space, which that was a thing that was rumored for a long time beforehand, and it's like every movie has been able to one-up itself, and this one almost seems to take a little bit of a step back. And the biggest thing with this movie, and this is a slight spoiler, and I don't know how much y'all really care about if I go into spoilers.
0%.
Okay, well then I'm just going to go ahead and do a clear spoiler warning for Fast X.
Spoiler warning.
Here's the spoiler warning. I knew going into Fast X that it was part 1 of 2, and actually Vin Diesel has said it might be a trilogy, and there might be a third one, which at this point, after having seen Fast X, that doesn't sound like happy news. That almost sounds like more of a threat, if anything. They might do a third one. But this one, it ends so abruptly, like literally in the middle of an action scene. I thought there was going to be at least one more big action scene in the movie, and then all of a sudden it just cuts to credits. So it's extremely disorienting when you're watching the movie of how just abruptly the movie ends. There are people who said about Dune Part 1 that it ended, on a cliffhanger, ended abruptly. No, in my opinion, it doesn't. It's a pretty clear ending, or if you're dividing that book into 2 parts, that's the clear place to end the first movie for Dune Part 1. Anybody that complained about that movie, I challenge you to go see this one and argue in its defense. It's impossible. It's so absurd the way that it ends. There's a lot of things in this franchise that has become so disorienting and as well. Like, back in Furious 7, we had the big send off for Paul Walker because, as we know, he tragically passed away during the filming of that movie, and so they had to say goodbye to that character and kind of rework it. So in the world of the Fast and Furious movies, Paul Walker's character is still alive, which made sense for Furious 7 and the way that they ended that movie. But now, several years later, we're still in this franchise, and like they still refer to his characters like, is he okay? Is he safe? Oh, he got to someplace safe. And it's just like distracting at this point because we all know that he's passed away. So the fact that his character is still alive in this world, it's like, it's odd.
really
But
weird,
yet
man.
Vin Diesel still has these just super hammy moments of reflection about Brian, and I don't know if he's just doing it for the films or if he's still, had a really good friendship with Paul Walker and it still really saddens him
They
to this
weren't
day.
friends,
I'm sure it
Drew.
does.
They were family.
They were brothers, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's just literally everybody that's been in this franchise at any point, other than Paul Walker, appears in this movie, whether it makes sense or not. And that, it's rough, man. Like, John Cena was the main villain of the last movie and was like a really self-serious villain, and he plays Dom's brother. And he's back in this one, but of course now he's one of the good guys. But he's just being like jokey, slapstick John Cena that we've come to see him do in other projects, which just doesn't make any sense here. It's like, weren't you just trying to murder everybody in the last movie, and now you're here as part of the team? And then, lastly, the most egregious thing, and again, this is a big spoiler for the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, Charlize Theron and Michelle Rodriguez's characters are in Antarctica for reasons I don't need to go into here.
There aren't any fruits up there.
But as they're trying to escape from the underground prison in Antarctica,
Okay.
a
Makes
giant
sense.
submarine comes up from under the ice to rescue them. And who is there? None other than Gal Gadot's character, who I think died in like the 6th movie, but they bring her back here with no explanation. She's just there. This is one of the cliffhangers that the movie ends on. But her character, who was like a pretty small character in the 2 movies that she was in, 2 Fast movies, they treat her returning in this movie like it's the dusted Avengers coming back in Endgame. Like it's this big triumphant thing. And I'm just sitting there like, what? Who cares? What are we doing here? This is just absolutely insane.
It's like the interdimensional cable episode on Rick and Morty, the Two Brothers movie. I don't know if you know that one. And then the
Do
grandma's attacked, and then the moon is crashing into the earth, and then like it just kept getting more and more. Oh.
I like your final review of it, of just kind of who cares.
Mm-hmm.
Those are sort of your last words. Who cares about any of this? Who cares? Yeah, I think besides Vin Diesel, nobody cares. Who cares? I don't care.
It's just, we'll see. And it had a huge production budget, and I think a lot of that was due to the director changes and things with production, being extended and everything they had to do. So it'll have to make a lot of money to justify its price point. But these movies typically do really well.
340.
Yeah, that's the alleged budget. So, and I think it's made like 320-ish worldwide so far. Yeah, and this was once, $1 billion franchise. Or these movies, I think, like the 7th one made over $1 billion. So these made a lot of money. It's also worth noting in this one. So the main villain is Jason Momoa, and he's just. It's like they told him he could just do whatever he wanted. Like, he's just being very flamboyant and over the top. He kind of plays it a little effeminate too, and but he's just having a good time, and you can tell. Sometimes it comes off like a little grating to me. I've heard Rick's reviews. I've heard some people say Jason Momoa is a highlight. I found him to be a little grating. Like, his big gimmick, one of the things he does consistently throughout the movie, and I just found it more and more annoying as it went on, is anytime he's like minding some sort of like explosion or things going on, he does like conducting motions, like he's doing, a symphony or a, choir or something. And the first time it's like kind of funny, and then he does it like 6 or 7 more times, and it's just kind of annoying. I don't know. Like, I appreciate that he's having a good time, and Jason Momoa is super charismatic, so I think that it's good to see him having fun, but I just found it more grating than
I
anything.
don't think that Jason Momoa has been the highlight of anything since Game of Thrones season 1.
Yeah, it's tough. Aquaman fans, I'm sure, will argue with you about that. There's
You're the
dozens of
only
them.
one.
Yeah, no, I have a whole
You're it.
legion.
Don't act like you have an army of stands with you on Jason Momoa's Aquaman. You stand alone under the water on
I
this.
still really like that movie, but even for me, like, Jason Momoa's Aquaman character is not high on my list of what I like about that movie. So, I'll put it that way. But yeah, it's, again, everybody that's been a part of this franchise is here, with the exception of Kurt Russell. He's in a couple of these entries, and he as Mr. Nobody. Well, his daughter is in this one, and she's played by Brie Larson, of Captain Marvel fame. But she is not very good in this. I don't know. It's just weird. Everybody's just there for a paycheck, I'm sure. And like I said, it's this movie's not like an absolute abomination, because I think anybody who goes into one of these Fast and Furious movies kind of expects that the story is family, blah blah blah, garbage. Let me see the cool car stunts, and some of those stunts are here. So there are some fun chases and moments, but none that surpass anything that's been done before, and nothing that raises the stakes at all. It's worth noting, Jason Momoa's villain, they kind of make this one a direct sequel to Fast 5, which in my opinion is the best movie of the Fast and Furious franchise. And what I mean is they show flashbacks to the big chase scene that's at the end of Fast 5, with the Vin Diesel and Paul Walker's cars dragging the big safe through Rio, through the streets. It's like one of the most famous action scenes in this franchise. Jason Momoa's character is the son of the guy that they were stealing that safe from, so they actually have scenes from Fast 5 with Jason Momoa like inserted into them from 10 years ago, and that this is why his character has beef with the gang. And so the fact that they're trying to kind of tie this one in to Fast 5, to me, is like them saying, we know that a lot of people think Fast 5 is the best one, so here, we'll just make this a continuation. But it's just still, it doesn't work in that way.
Of course it doesn't work. There was 4 movies between them.
Exactly. So, yeah, diehards of the franchise that just want to see the stunts, you'll probably find something to like here, but this, to me, is probably the worst Fast movie of the whole franchise. So that's it, man. It's a tough break. This was kind of one of the movies. Well, I guess Guardians kind of kicked off the summer movie season, right? This is the next big one, and for me, it's a disappointment. I think the new Little Mermaid movie that comes out this upcoming weekend does not look very good. But luckily, I believe the week after that, we get the new Spider-Verse movie, which I think looks great.
Yeah, it's gonna
so
be good.
I'm excited for that one.
I know I could Google it, but I've already got you here, Drew. When does the Barbie movie come out? Because that's the next one that's on our radar.
Comes out the same day as Oppenheimer.
My
It
wife
does.
would
It
like
comes
to see it.
It's July. I should have this weekend memorized because it's going to be one of the biggest theater weekends of the year. Oppenheimer and Barbie release on July 21st, 2023.
June, July. All right, so we have almost 2 months from the date of this recording. Okay, all right. I knew it was a summer release. It's just I was more ready for it. I thought it was quicker. I'm ready.
Notable things coming out between then and now are new Spider-Verse movie, the Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the Beast Wars crossover Transformers movie. We get the Flash.
You mean where
movie will be
they get all the lore from the Beast Wars show and they throw it in the trash?
I'm sure that they will.
Yeah, because Transformers is known for abiding to its lore so well.
Hey, fucking fair enough. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Trying to see if there's anything else.
But also, I mean, the franchise is diarrhea, so you know.
It is. Maybe they should have stuck.
Maybe they should have stuck to the lore. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Asteroid City, which is the new Wes Anderson movie, comes out in June.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm excited for that. Indiana Jones.
I sounded sarcastic, but I also like Wes Anderson. So.
There's a new Indiana Jones movie that comes out. The new Mission Impossible movie, which looks incredible, will be out. And then July 21st, Oppenheimer and Barbie. So yeah, we've got a few weeks, but there'll be some things in between there that we'll review, I'm sure. I don't know if we'll do I don't know if you all will see Spider-Verse or if we'll do a review of The Flash. I don't know what our next big deep dive
I can
will be.
almost guarantee you that Jahan will see Spider-Verse, and then I'll feel pressured to see it, so I probably will too.
I mean, I'll definitely see it.
Maybe The Flash too. I don't know. I was listening to another podcast. I think it was The Ringer's Big Picture, and they made a comment about The Flash. And I kind of feel this way too, where it's like, you know, it's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be good, and all this rumors, and it's almost like we've just been told repeatedly that this movie is good. So like we're just supposed to know that it's good going into it. Like it's this weird thing where now there's been all these stories and Tom Cruise and whoever saying that The Flash is so great, and so now it's like we've been conditioned to just think that it's good going into it. But I wonder if it's really going to be that great. I do like that the marketing tactics for it have basically just been marketing it as a Batman movie, which I think is the right thing for them to do.
I mean, people keep on saying this stuff. And did you mention Stephen King?
I did not.
Say Stephen King said it was great, and he doesn't like superhero movies. So I'm like, there's no way there's just no way that's true. There's no way. I want to
know how much all these people, Stephen King, Tom Cruise, whoever, how much they were paid to promote this movie.
Yeah,
and say how
me too.
great it is. Because that's how it feels at this point.
It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
So yeah, so that's my Fast X rant that I wanted to do. It's a shame. There is one other big spoiler that's a mid-credits scene, but I won't even go into it. But they're, pretty much one of the other most obvious characters from this franchise that could returns in the mid-credits scene, and I'm guessing he will be back in the sequel or in the part 2 to this. So that's all I'll say. Should be pretty obvious what I'm referring to. Yeah, that's it. We can move on to our fresh picks of the week, which I want to start with Jahan because you've got some list going on.
Oh man, dude, I went on a nostalgia trip through the 90s and 2000s. All right, man. So I started off with She's All That. Right. I don't know if you've seen that, but yeah, I mean that girl, she takes off her overalls and puts on like a dress or something. Then bam, she's hot. She's out of nowhere. It's crazy. Then you got served.
Keep going. Sorry,
you got served after that. I don't remember this one, even though I just watched it recently.
That happens when you're on a real good binge.
It's about volleyball?
It's not.
Okay, yeah, you got served. It was a good one. It is definitely a law drama.
There are going to be people that think that don't realize that this is a bit.
How would they realize this is a bit true? After that, I got to my true passion, which is the Bring It On saga. All right, so
entire franchise.
I started off.
How many movies are in that saga?
I see that there's one missing from my list, which is the classic Bring It On, starring Elijah Duku.
No, that's the one that you didn't watch. You watched all of these except the original.
Well, I didn't need to watch it because it was so near and dear to my heart already. But Bring It On Again, the 2004 epic, where they once again have to bring it. And then Bring It On, this time it's all or nothing. That's 2006. I could go on.
And that's 3 movies. That's more than I thought. I thought it was just the 2. That's crazy.
Please at least just list the rest of these. Just say all their names.
Well, so I can't do that, Drew, all right? Because the 4th one, Bring It On, in this one, they are in it to win it. And after that, they have to fight to the finish. And then finally, there's the worldwide Cheer Smack. This is when they start kind of getting off the rails a bit.
Yeah, this sounds like
eight year difference between these movies too. Well, oh, excuse me, no, I can't do. Yeah, that's right. That's good math. I did it.
This sounds like they're grasping for straws, Jahan. Did you say it was called Worldwide Cheer Smack? This sounds.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's series that should have been over.
And that was the very last one until they decided to cheer or die.
Yeah,
Is that really what the 2022 Bring It On movie is called? Cheer or Die?
I don't know. I didn't make this list. I just read it.
The
Oh boy! For those
classic.
For those who don't know, we do keep a Google Doc for this show to remind ourselves of the things that we want to discuss. And sometimes we make little changes to those lists, just minor edits that we think are funny because we're children here. But I believe Gary just decided to add She's All That, You Got Served, and all of the Bring It On movies, minus the first one, to Jahan's list. Gary, can you tell me what your motivation or inspiration was
That
for this?
is correct, Drew. So what I did here was I added She's All That. I thought that was really funny. And then I added You Got Served, and I thought that was really funny. And I was like, oh, what is that cheerleading movie called? And so I binged cheerleading movie series. And lo and behold, there are a lot more of these than I thought there were.
There's more than I realized that there were also.
Yeah, so they made their way up to Jahan's list. Those are all the real years and real titles. Yeah, those are real. Those are real movies. They've made like 6 or 7.
I assume all of those were direct-to-video, that none of them were theatrical releases?
Bring It On Again was not. Bring It On Again was a theatrical release.
Yes, I think only the first one.
The first 2
is a good movie.
First 2. But yeah, I didn't watch any of that stuff. I did watch the first few episodes of The Last Thing He Told Me, starring Jennifer Garner and One Hand Boy from Game of Thrones. He has a weird
Jamie
name.
Lannister himself. It's Nikolai.
Yeah, Nikolai.
Or Waldo, something of the along those lines.
So far, so good. It's a crime thriller thing. Also, the daughter is the girl from No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, that is Ned's girlfriend for like the trip only. So that's the cast. It's 3 of them.
Oh, in Far From Home.
Far From Home. Yeah.
Do not blame you for getting those confused.
Yeah, I mean they weren't home, so like I was like No Way Home, but nope, fuck me. But yeah, so the show's pretty good. It's long story short, there's an FBI raid at her husband's Nikolai's place of business. He disappears. They don't know what's going on, but like they're trying to unravel this like mystery because it doesn't seem like something he would do, which is some sort of white collar crime. But there's a whole thing going on. I didn't finish it, so I don't know how it ends. But it was pretty good. No major issues with it. It's a good show. I would recommend it to everyone's parents.
I will say this: my wife watched this series and really liked it.
Okay.
Every time, like every Wednesday, we go on to watch the new Ted Lasso, and like this will usually pop up on the Apple TV Plus menu, and she'll be like, "Oh, that was so good!" Every time we cross it, so she liked it for what it's worth. But yeah. That's all I got. That's all I know is that my wife watched it and approved.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty good.
Go.
I approve if you're into these kinds of crime shows from the perspective of the family, not from like the police perspective really at all, which is pretty different. from a lot of the crime shows that I typically watch. So I mean, give it a shot. You know, if you like Jennifer Garner, you like Nikolai, they do a good job. I feel like Jennifer Garner is not the best mom, but hey, it is what it is.
You actually kind of inadvertently provided a good segue for my first fresh pick of the week, just because it's another Apple TV Plus item, because that is where the last thing he told me is. And I just wanted to mention a movie called Still, and actually the full title is Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. And this is a documentary about Michael J. Fox's career and battle with Parkinson's disease. And it's actually it's good. It's 90 minutes long, just over 90 minutes long, and it does a little bit of a dive into his career, but it's really more so about the Parkinson's and the diagnosis and his dealing with it and so on. But it's kind of crazy because in our adult life, we've probably mostly associated Michael J. Fox with A, the fact that he has Parkinson's, and B, he was in the Back to the Future movies. And I think for us, in our generation, we don't realize how big of a star he was in the 80s. Like, when he was big, he was huge. Like, he was such a big deal in Hollywood. And then it wasn't until I can't remember what year it was that he went public with his diagnosis, but he was battling it for a few years before he did go public with it. And it's just really fascinating getting his mindset about it and how he deals with it and how he's still very active. And it's one of those movies where there's parts of it that are heartbreaking, but it's also very inspirational and cheery at the same time. So if you have interest in Michael J. Fox, it goes a little bit into like the making it Back to the Future and the crazy schedule that he had at that time, because he was filming Family Ties at the same time, which is a really well-known story if you know the production details around the making of Back to the Future. And I still find that stuff to be really interesting, especially hearing it from Michael J. Fox directly. But it doesn't do that for the rest. So like those wanting a whole lot of insight into making all of the Back to the Future movies and more like behind the scenes details, you're not going to get that as much. This is much more about his health and a little bit of his rise, and then his dealing with his diagnosis during that time. So I think it was really solid, and it's available on Apple TV Plus. So I'd certify it fresh for sure.
Yeah, I like Michael J. Fox, and everything that's happened to him sucks.
I also like those kind of, documentaries about bands and stars and things like that. So yeah, I think I could probably get into this. And it seems like, I don't have Parkinson's, and I don't know anybody that suffers from Parkinson's personally. So I think it could be nice to get some insight and see what living with that is like. And I feel like he could have an inspiring story. So it sounds like a good time.
It's kind of in the same realm as like on Prime Video. I think last year or the year before, there's a documentary called Val that's about Val Kilmer, and it's kind of similar as far as two well-known actors who were very popular in their prime who had a health diagnosis and dealing with it. Of course, very different health diagnoses and what they went through, but the difference with the Val Kilmer one is that he had a video camera all the time, and it's kind of insane seeing all the things that he filmed behind the scenes and whatnot. Whereas Michael J. Fox, this is just him being very candid and personal, and I really like that too. And they do a good job in the documentary of taking scenes from the movies that he's been in and applying them to where he was at that time or his personal story. Like, it's kind of interesting how they manipulate his movie and TV scenes into the story that he's telling of his life. It's actually really well done from an editing perspective. I thought it was pretty impressive. But yeah, so that's it. Gary, what about you? What have you been watching?
So I finally started Barry season 1, and I'm like 8 or 9 episodes in. I knew I was going to binge it and start flying through it. There's some graphic stuff for sure, and I knew that going in. Luckily, I had a friend warn me, so I take breaks whenever it gets graphic. I know what to expect. And I'm really surprised how not funny Bill Hader is in Barry. At least in the first season, he's just not funny. He's just the straight guy. What's more
The
funny,
comedy almost comes from the insane people around him.
Yes, exactly. It's the people he comes across and the situations he winds up in that are more funny, and he's just kind of, he's definitely irregular, without a doubt, but he's not a comedian in the show, at least not in the first season. So it's really good. I mean, it's, I'm not breaking any new ice here, and I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. Barry's good. I like season 1. I'm into it. NoHo Hank is, of course, an instant cult classic. Like, you just see him on screen, you hear words come out of his mouth, and you know that this guy has it. And as a writing team, you've got to keep him involved as long as you can. He has it. So I'm looking forward to watching more Barry. And for me right now, it's just a good... I don't know if I'm playing Marvel Snap or something like that, on my phone, and I'll put Barry on for a couple episodes. But that's, Barry. Barry for me, Barry for you, Barry for everybody. You should watch it or don't watch it. I don't know. At this point, you know what it's about. Everybody knows what it's about. It's nothing new.
Barry Season 2 is an interesting continuation of the first season. It's when you make the jump from Season 2 to Season 3 where the show starts getting a lot more existential and different. Now I'll be interested to hear your thoughts when you get there. So it's exciting that you're catching up on this. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it as you progress into it.
I do think the existential scenes are kind of fun whenever he's just suddenly in the future with his wife and friends and has this dream life going on and has to snap himself out of it because he's having these small psychotic breaks. I do like the way that that's done. That's a lot of fun. After Barry, I have been watching also on Max Unicorn Warriors Eternal. I told you guys about it last week. I'll tell you about it again this week. I like it so much I did the research. What day of the week does this come out? It looks like it comes out Thursdays live, but Friday for streaming. So check Max on Fridays for Unicorn Warriors Eternal. This week's was called, What Lies Beneath or something. And the party is on a boat, and the boat gets surrounded by evil magic, and they get pushed out to, the harbor. And they're just stuck there. So it cuts off the cosmic guy's link to the cosmic realm, and he starts to fade away from existence and can't help them. And then they have to fight a kraken. So it's a whole thing. It's great. It's a good time. The whole thing reminds me of just fantastic tabletop role-playing game adventures. Or, it takes place in Victorian times. I don't know if I mentioned that last week. So it's a fun setting as well. So check out Unicorn Warriors Eternal. It's a cartoon. It's not violent. Doesn't have bad language. You could watch it with your family. You could watch it with your kids. You should watch it. It's got a good art style, and the characters are fun and exciting to me.
Nice.
What have I been playing? Thanks for asking what I've been playing. Oh no, you've got movies. Are those movies or shows, Drew? What are the names of those things?
Oh goodness, I have a bunch. Well, I'll just go through these pretty quick because they're not the more interesting of the things that I watched. But I did mention a couple weeks ago when I had watched the first two Apes movies in the Apes series. I spoke about the Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes because I was interested in catching up on those old movies from the late 60s and early 70s. They made 5 of these movies in the span of 6 years or something insane like that. But so I watched the third one of the series, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which kind of reverses the theory, right? In the first movie, you have the 3 spacemen who land on future Earth, and they discover that it's a planet of apes, and they're dealing with that. And the third movie, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, begins with 3 apes landing on a planet of humans and trying to figure out they're placing it all, and it's fine. I really liked the first two. The second one was particularly insane. This one's a little bit less risk taking in it, but yeah, it's fine. So that's it. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. I got 2 more of these to watch. I believe the next one I have to watch is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. So I will be catching up on that one soon. And then
there's almost as many Planet of the Apes as there is Bring It Ons.
There are, let me see here. There's the 5 original ones, and then there's the Tim Burton remake, and then there's the 3 like reboot sequels that they did recently.
The reboot trilogy is pretty good.
It's great, and they're doing a new one that's supposed to come out next year.
Is it a part of that trilogy?
I believe so, or some sort of continuation of that one. But I don't think Andy Serkis is in it.
So no joke. You said 6, right? And then there are currently 3 of the new one. That makes 9. Plus the Burton one is 10. If they're making another one, 11. 11
5,
Apes
6,
movies, right?
10.
Goodness.
5 originals, Tim Burton, 3 new ones, and a new one upcoming.
Goodness. 10
Yes.
Apes movies. That seems excessive.
Which I believe this is a franchise that is now under Disney. I think this is from was a Fox franchise, so now under the Disney banner, similar to like the Prey movie, the newest Predator sequel, prequel, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, so that's Planet of the Apes. A podcast that I love called Blank Check is doing a director series on the films of Buster Keaton. So I've been watching some of these as I follow along that series, and Buster Keaton, silent film actor of the 1920s, he was a huge deal back then. And so I was like not looking forward to getting into this, because when you're watching stuff that's that old, the pacing and things can be off, and I didn't know how it was going to be. I've watched 4 of Buster Keaton's directed movies. First off, they're all like an hour long, like an hour to maybe only 45 minutes long, I think is the shortest one of them. So that's awesome, because you can get through them pretty quick. My biggest takeaway from this is how well the humor holds up of these silent films and like slapstick comedy, and how much it served as inspiration for cartoons and things like Looney Tunes and stuff that we grew up on. Some of these still make me laugh out loud. I've watched 4. I don't have them all listed for me. I've seen 3 Ages, The Navigator, Sherlock Jr., and Our Hospitality are the 4 that I've watched so far. And I've liked all of them a whole lot. So I just wanted to note that, because it's not something that I would normally watch or seek out. I've been doing it to follow along with this series, and I found myself really enjoying it, and it makes me want to dive into some of the other popular silent film actors of that time, like Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, and some of the other ones. But yeah, I've had a really good time watching these films of Buster Keaton. That's it for movies. The only other thing I have that I've been watching is, and this is a super random one, but it's just what I've been watching like at night when I'm laying in bed and I just want to watch something before I go to sleep. I've been watching Celebrity Jeopardy, because there's a new... First off, Jeopardy, in my opinion, the greatest game show of all time. I love Jeopardy. And I saw that there was a season of Celebrity Jeopardy that ran in the fall of last year. And so they're all on Hulu, and that's where I've been watching them. And so the thing I like about Celebrity Jeopardy is, A, I feel like the questions are a little bit easier. So I feel like I know most of them when I'm watching it. And B, the celebrities don't always know the answers, or sometimes aren't always that great at the actual format of the game show and answering correctly and things. And so I find entertainment from that, because I feel like it's how it would be if, say, we played the game. It wouldn't go as smoothly as when you have the geniuses playing, say on like Celebrity. There's a series airing right now on ABC. I think it's like it's Jeopardy Masters is what it's called, I think. And those guys are all the super experts. The celebrities are less so. But some people I've seen on it so far, like Andy Richter was on it, and Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi in the Marvel movies. Who else was on it?
He's really smart.
Ike Barinholtz is on it, and yeah, there's a few others. So
I feel like
it's interesting seeing who excels and who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know about my brother, right?
He was on Jeopardy, right?
Yeah.
Not
How did he
just
do?
on it, though.
Two-time, he won twice.
That's amazing. I need to go back. Are those episodes streaming? Like, do you know if I can watch the episodes with your
You
brother?
can definitely watch them. I don't know how. You could probably just type in, Alex DeBC Jeopardy into YouTube or something.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all on Hulu or something, like
Yeah.
all the seasons, but I would have to find out which season and episode he was on, which is probably the real challenge.
Yeah, anytime I saw a message Jeopardy, I'm like, my brother was on there. I don't know.
I did know this is one of those things that's like it's implanted in my memories, but I forget until it gets brought up. I'm like, oh, I knew this.
Yeah. Yeah, he won twice.
Original air date March 23rd, 2015.
Sounds right. Yeah, it was a while
That would have
ago.
been Season 31, episode 136.
Yeah, so he did get to meet Alex Trebek, which I'm happy because, that was a big deal for him. So
Does he still watch Jeopardy regularly? Like, is it something he keeps up with?
maybe. I don't really know. I've never seen him watch an episode, like, ever. Except for, like,
If
when we were
you're on
younger.
Jeopardy or you win Jeopardy, or you like part of the Jeopardy family?
I mean, technically, I think if he had won one more, he would have qualified to, like, come back for, like, the champion games when they do that, but... it is what it is, and he's happy with what happened. So
That's
I mean,
awesome.
He did good. Yeah, he won twice.
He won more times than I'll ever win.
Yeah.
Same.
Yep. Yeah. My brother was always like trying to go there. He was always doing that. He did I think he did Junior Jeopardy, but not televised or something. Like he tried out and blah blah blah.
So, Drew, your before bed routine is Celebrity Jeopardy. Ours has been For the King. It's not a new game by any means, but it's a Game Pass game that sort of plays like a board game. Also a rogue-like adventure. So you're gonna die. You're probably gonna lose 1,000,000 times. You unlock the board as you move, and it's cooperative, so that's what we like about it. Annie and I can play together. It's couch cooperative, and it's sort of an adventure game. So we've been playing that before bed, and we have to set alarms to make sure that we don't stay up way too late. We get an alarm that goes off at 11:40. That's like, all right, go to bed now. It's late enough. So we've been playing For the King and loving it. Also, I just discovered yesterday, and then immediately made Jahan download Warlander. Warlander came out, I believe, September of this past year, and it is free, and I believe it's cross-console, cross-play, because I've seen people with other, I've got the Xbox logo, and I've seen people with the PC logo, and I've seen people with just a regular controller, so it's probably PlayStation, but I'm not sure. But it's like Battlefield mixed with Chivalry, except it's third person, and it's got magic. So you've got magic and skills, and you're capturing points. You're capturing spawn points that you can spawn closer to the enemy's castle, and then get in there, destroy their walls with siege equipment, and go break their castle core. Except it's cartoony and colorful and fun. So I actually recommend Warlander. It's made by the same company that made Happy Wars, which I played years and years ago on my Xbox 360, I think. And I love the way that game played. It just sort of faded off the map. There's something fun about Warlander. The more you play, the more gear you get, the more spells you get. You can equip characters with more and more armor, so that as you level up in the match, you can play stronger versions of your character towards the end. So there's some neat, interesting concepts there, and I think it's a pretty fun game, especially for free. I would recommend Warlander, and I'd say that it's certified fresh out the box.
I mean, it's pretty fun. I like Happy Wars better. I mean, it's fine. It's like a 5 out of 10. But it's free. So, there's that. It's complete. There's none of it's just kind of bland. You know what I mean? It is fun, and, I had a lot of fun playing it. You can smash walls with giant magic spells, stuff like that. You can summon cataclysms, which is cool. It's fun. But and I guess there's no real gameplay issues. Is the main point that I would give to it, is that like it worked. Me and Gary got in a party. We never dropped. It loaded in. No issues. So like it is better than Redfall. So. And it's free to everybody, so just check it out.
I feel like that's going to be our bar now. It's like better than Redfall for new games.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
a
bottom
low
bar.
bar.
That's
It's a low bar.
one of the worst games ever made.
I do take into account that Warlander's free. I mentioned that it's free.
Yeah.
It's a free game. And so if you are gaming on a budget, or if, your kid wants to play a game and they don't know what game they want to play, set Warlander in front of them. It's not profane. It's cartoon violence. I don't think there's a lot of blood or dismemberment or cuss words or any of that. So for what it's worth, I think it's free and it's family friendly. So I'd give it a couple points on that. I'd maybe give it a 7 just for aesthetic and the way it works.
Yeah, I don't get
I will
points for
say-
free. I just, am willing to play a lower ranked game because it's free. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Upon Googling Warlander, I've discovered that Warlander is also a breed of horse. So if you look at images when you Google search, it is a lot of images from this game and then random pictures of horses sprinkled throughout.
It's ironic because there are no horses in the game.
That's correct. There are no horses. Whoa, yeah, look at all those horses. Holy crap, they're just in there.
They're galloping, looking.
Yeah.
Looking
You're like
very,
looking at the game, and all of a sudden there's a horse. That's crazy. You're crazy, Drew. You changed my life. Also, I am moving. I'm moving, but I'm staying in the town. I'm moving from here to like 8 minutes down the road over there. So I may be without internet. So this past week on our stream, Jahan and I got into our Deep Rock Galactic minis and started painting some of those. I painted my driller and was very happy with the way that it came out. But the reason I bring it up, since I'll be probably without internet for a few days, is I'll be getting into the Deep Rock board game. I'll be getting into the minis, into painting them, and into playing the game. And I'll probably report back about that just because it's exciting for me. And that's the last thing I have to talk about. The board game seems pretty fresh, and these minis are definitely fresh.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for this week. This has been episode 88 of Fresh Out the Podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. I had fun. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so everybody have a good night. I've been Johanan at RockFact on Twitter.
It's me, Casualty CDG. I also did not have fun. You can find me at Casualty CDG. You can watch me and Jahan if you want to. If you're like, hey, I need more of those guys, then I've got good news for you. Go to twitch.tv/Johananon. We're up there every Thursday, every Friday. We're doing tabletop role-playing games. We're making you laugh. We're making you cry. We're making you puke. But that's just because you saw Jahan's ugly face. Got him. All right, catch us there. Thanks, guys.
I am Drew Munhausen. You can find me at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to episode 88 of Fresh Out the Podcast. We will be back next week with another fresh episode, with episode 89.
Have a great night, everybody. Stay fresh.